Hi, I'm Marc Bona with Northeast Ohio Media Group, and I write about beer. We are in the middle of trying to figure out voting for the top 10 finalists for Neo's Best Craft Brewery. We've done best chicken wings, we've done donuts, we've done pizza, now we're doing beer. Beer is an industry in this part of the country for sure. So today we're with Luke Purcell, brewer with Great Lakes Brewing Company. Great Lakes, as most people know, was the first craft brewery in the state, started in 1988. Luke, why don't you tell us a little bit about the history of this place?
Well, like you said, it started in 1988. Pat and Dan Conway brothers opened it up, started in 87, found these old buildings here in Ohio City, and started it as Ohio's first microbrewery. It was a brew pub with a 7-barrel brew system, which still stands today. We still use the system.
I'm a big supply and demand guy, especially when it comes to beer, and beer breweries are just popping up left and right in Northeast Ohio. You guys have had kind of a challenge in that area because clearly the demand is here. You've got some fan favorites, a lot of fan favorites, like famous Christmas ale, of course. But talk a little bit about the physical expansion that's gone on. You added new tanks about a year ago?
Like you said, down here in Ohio City, we're kind of landlocked in the spot where we are. When we started, the neighborhood was kind of dilapidated. It was not really, there was not a lot of business down here. There was the West Side Market, St. Ignatius is down here, but Pat and Dan took the risk to hope that the neighborhood grew around them, and certainly has, which is a great thing. But for us, it's also been kind of tough to find any new spots to squeeze any more fermentation tanks or anything like that. We actually gutted our offices out last year that were in the front end of the building and put 600-barrel fermenters, 4 of them in there, just to make more space and more brewing space. So currently we're looking for another option for another building to find a brewery, to build a brewery, I'm sorry.
It's kind of a challenge, isn't it?
Yeah, so this one will always be, Pat and Dan have assured us that this building itself will always be in operation as our brew pub. The next one might be, we might split up the seasonals and the regular beers, the year-round styles, and 2 different breweries or something like that. But this one will always stay running down here in Ohio City. So.
Recently, Great Lakes announced new packaging, both in the design of the logo, overall packaging, a lot of new apparel, other things coming in. A Canadian artist was brought in to do the design along with a Cleveland company on the redesign project. You talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so that was decided by our marketing team here and by Pat and Dan to do a complete brand refresh. They redid the logo, had some subtle changes on that, but the labels themselves on all of our products were done by Darren Booth, the artist you referred to. He's from Canada. He did a great job, and it gives us a uniform look with all of our labels. The artwork's really cool. There's a lot of little hidden kind of patchwork things in there that you can find, not necessarily on the label, but there's some literature that we pass out that you can find these little kind of, like Edmund Fitzgerald has a small 29 honoring the 29 shipmates that went down and perished in the sinking of the Edmund Fitzgerald back in 1975. So there's like these little subtle things that kind of point out and draw on the labels. It's really neat stuff.
That's neat. So I have to ask you, I know that you have a special anecdote to tell about brewing pumpkin ale. Was this and this goes back to the first batch when you brewed?
Yeah, our pumpkin ale, the first time we did it was quite a few years ago now, and we've only done it in the pub. The good news is we're going to do a larger batch this year, so it'll be out in draft in sometime late October, not when everyone else comes out in August or July in some cases. Which
you're using real pumpkins?
Absolutely, we grow the pumpkins ourselves. So the first year I knew I wanted to grow the pumpkins by ourselves, and we didn't have, we have the 2 farms now, the Hale Farm and Village, about 1 acre down there, where we grow all our own vegetables. And across the street from the brewery here on Bridge Avenue is Ohio City Farms, and we utilize over 1 acre over there as well. So we're able to grow our pumpkins there now. But the first year, I started pumpkins from seed right here in the brew house on our windowsill. It's right behind you here. The sunlight comes in here pretty good during the day, so I started, I don't know, 100 seed pots in here, and then staff from the restaurant and the brewery all took some home. They each took a couple home and brought me back the pumpkins from their yard. So that's how we made it the first year.
So I'm going to put you on the spot. You've been here, next year marks 20 years that you've been working in one capacity or another with Great Lakes. Much of that has been as a brewer. So do you have it's probably like asking you have a favorite kid, but do you have a favorite beer that you've brewed here, or one that you've tasted, or even something that wasn't popular? I'm curious, from your perspective, what you like, what especially stands out.
That's a really hard question, like you said. And my go-to answer on what my favorite beer we brew is the Edmund Fitzgerald Porter. I like that beer. It was my favorite beer before I started working here. I think it's the one that we do truly best to style. So I really, really like that one. It stands out to me. We do have one that we brewed. It's a favorite story of mine. Pat Conway demanded a few years ago that we brewed a beer for the Cavs winning the championship, which they didn't end up doing. It was a wit beer. So he was trying to play off witness and stuff like that with that style. And we ended up calling it Wit Till Next Year. So that's one of my favorite beer naming stories. And that beer is great. It has all kinds of spices in it. And hopefully we're going to change the name of it till the wit is over this year. That's the plan.
Very good. So we're here with Luke Purcell at Great Lakes Brewing Company. I'm Marc Bona for Northeast Ohio Media Group. Cheers.
Cheers.